Hello, ladies. Just let me get my teacup. I'm so glad you're here. I'm in the guest room today because it's a quiet spot at the other end of the house when there are still other people sleeping. And I got up a little bit early today, and I don't often broadcast on this side of the room because there's so much backlight coming in, but it's just to listen to anyway. Welcome to Homemakers Radio, and if you're new here, please go watch this on my site where I have the link in the description box, and look around and see what else is there. And before you go today to do your work, this is a listen as you go radio program, and I'm broadcasting from the manse and also in captivity. So I've got some great ideas for you today that I have been laying awake at night thinking of, and I maybe motivate you a little bit at home. And I'd like to show you my teacup today, and it's from that company called Meritage. Someone that came to one of my teas brought it as a gift, and I really like it. And it's from Home Goods or Ross, one of those places. And I love it because it has something on the inside to look at. It's quite amusing. I'll include a picture of that for you. And today I have a few things to talk about. So the first thing you need to do is get dressed, and I hope that you will start getting dressed before, when you see that video pop up, oh, it's time to go get dressed so I can listen. And so some of you that aren't feeling too well or a little bit tired or sleepy and just can't really get going might want to get dressed and act like you're coming to class. Get your cup of tea, get presentable, and come. And I would do this more on live stream or Zoom, but it is time consuming for ladies to have to come and pay total attention to something. And so this is probably better, because if you are doing things around the home, you can take it with you. And so today we'll start out with my challenge to myself, and I hope that you will take it up too, that while in captivity we can work on becoming healthier, stronger, better in so many ways, more knowledgeable, having more better judgment about things, and being better caregivers of people around us and of our house. You know, I looked up the word house and home in the Bible, and family, and those words were so interchangeable, there was no difference. So I guess it was assumed that a house naturally would have a family in it, and it would make a home. So the house and the family make a home. And that was the definition that I came up with looking up in the ancient languages. And so today I'm going to go through three things, and that is your preparation, and then your home, and then people stuff. And everybody always likes that. I know some people who try to fast forward it to the end so they can get to some of this interesting people stuff that goes on. I am Mrs. Sherman, and I have been married nearly 50 years and a preacher's wife, and so I have based this only on my observations and my opinions and my experience. So you don't have to take it as something that would work for you. This is just something to listen to as you go, and I can keep you a little company while you work. Yesterday I got on YouTube and found a couple of movies that I have on disc, but my little phone is just easier to, to put in my apron pocket and take it around if I'm going to be doing something rather tedious, and I don't want to have something plugged in, and I don't want a big screen. I just want to listen. So I listened to one I had seen a few years ago, and I did see a little bit of it, and it was called Princess Cut, and it was on YouTube, and it was free, so I watched it, or listened to it. And I call it the plaid shirt movie because everybody in it had a plaid shirt. I think I counted 20 plaid shirts altogether in it. And I thought it was interesting because we have a plaid shirt church here. I'm out here in Oregon, out in farmland in the country, and I noticed at church, I hadn't thought too much about it, but even the men that get up and wait on the Lord's table, they're all wearing nice plaid. They wear their nice plaid shirts on Sunday. And even Mr. S preaches a sermon in a plaid shirt. So we're all we're all wearing plaid shirts. I guess it's something about plaid that makes people glad. And so my challenge is to come out of the other side of captivity ready for to embrace our new responsibilities, because with freedom comes responsibility, always. That's what Booker T. Washington was trying to tell the former slaves when he enrolled them in his school. Okay, you're going to have freedom, but with it comes responsibility. You're going to have to learn how to be where you say you're going to be at a certain time. You're going to have to learn how to talk to people, how to keep appointments, how to do business, how to deliver your product, and how to give the right price, and also how to take care of yourself. He even taught them how to bathe, get dressed, how to sleep, how to eat. They had a dining room at Tuskegee Institute that other people, donations, paid for, and they had, I believe they had a chandelier in it and on the ceiling, and just to get the students used to the idea of dining rather than eating. And he said in his book, Up From Slavery, that he had gone to visit people in their homes to get an idea of what would be needed in the teaching and training. And he said often the older children and the adults would just grab a piece of something from the frying pan and start eating on it, and then walk out into the field or walk to somewhere that they had to go. And you know, that's not much different than us, is it? You know, you see people walking around eating food, but that was not considered. That was considered not as beneficial as having a dining, you know, to have a dining experience when you eat. If you're living alone, ladies, that might be something you will consider, is to stop eating a sandwich over the sink or drinking something in front of the fridge, and just dine instead of eat, and see what a difference it makes, especially if you prepare the food yourself and you're starting to smell it as you prepare it, and you sense there's more going on than just eating and swallowing, and it just has a whole lot to do with your well-being. And so I'd like to challenge everyone to come on the other side of captivity, having a little more talent, a little more skill, having had some of the things you've wanted to do, you've always wanted to do, but just never could get around to it, to do that. And especially when you're home, many people are home now, especially women who are home with their children. There might be something you'd really like to do with your children that you dream about or have just thought of, but just never really did it. And think of doing some things that you've always wanted to do, because really, you've got a lot of freedom in captivity. No one's monitoring you so far in your home, and there's a lot of freedom in your home. And I have been watching a few videos on home arrangement, and you're making it more convenient, and the way that you watch the traffic and where it goes past, and how to make things a little more convenient in the home. And one of the things that I've come up with in watching it is that you're arranging it and cleaning it according to the needs of people, needs of the family. And it's not like an institution, and it's for their convenience. So one thing that you can do is go and get dressed, and the most important thing, of course, is because that's the beginning. That's the start of your day. If you're not feeling well, I understand, you know, you have to sit here and watch me. There isn't anything to watch. This is my little guest room, and I come in here when I want to keep from disturbing anyone else that's in the household that's still asleep. I woke up fairly early today, voluntarily, and I would like to talk about that a little bit, because if you do have one of those sleepless nights, or a night where you get so much sleep and then your body just won't let you stay in any later and you're up really early, you mustn't think there's something wrong with you. It's just that that's the way it is sometimes, and it's probably better to get up and do something, or make a list, or enjoy something, rather than to fret and toss and turn trying to get that extra sleep. And so that's what I did this morning, is I got up and did a few things, quietly, of course. So let's come out on the other side of this thriving, instead of coming out on the other side of this with loss, with great loss, or with great hindrances. And let's just determine that we're going to do it. And a couple of the things that I have done is I've made a list of things that I wanted to do, and I started doing them, do them little by little. And instead of thinking one day I'm going to do this, And I think that many of us will have more brain power when we get finished with it. So let's come out of the other side of it stronger, healthier, happier, with more discernment, and with more knowledge, and with more kindness and love for those that we live with. So I believe, of course, I was just thinking this morning that we really are not created to fail. We're created to thrive. And so think about that. Think about how you're going to thrive. I told you in my last video how if someone had told me that I was crazy or that I couldn't do anything when I began to be a homemaker full-time or homeschool my children, this was going on way back in the 1950s. I can remember hearing people tell homemakers that they didn't do anything all day, or that they were crazy, or that they needed to get an education. And in those days, it was pretty useless to say get an education if there were no careers available for that education. And if you went up into the wilderness and settled on a homestead like my family did, there was nowhere you could use any kind of intellectual career. But it was very helpful to know how to be literate, how to read, how to write, and how to draw, and how to take care of your finances. That was the key to the success in the home, and how to take care of children and take care of the family and take care of the house. Those are really important, because there will be, who would have thought that you would have been confined to your home place and have to think, okay, how am I going to look after this? And so these skills are always useful. We had a piano teacher years ago, and her name was Mrs. Passwaters. Can you believe this? She was from Kansas, and her husband was from Kansas. And I don't know where they got that surname, Passwaters, and I haven't heard it very much. But she was a piano teacher, and she said that she found, she had been to college, but she said she'd found that a lot of the things that they learned were absolutely useless in a life at home. And she taught piano from her home. And she said that she thought people should learn things that would carry them on into their old age. And that's why she taught piano to young people, because she said sports won't carry you on into your old age. There'll be a time when you won't be able to move like that, but you could always play an instrument like a fiddle or a guitar or a piano. So she was trying to teach us to take your time when you're young or fairly young, learning things that are going to carry you through your life. And who would have thought that the home would have become so much more important? We are now seeing it, and we are now feeling it. So if you're not dressed, please go and do so, and think about how this is part of your duty and your presentation to your family. And if you're alone, do it anyway, because you know you could be preparing for something wonderful that God wants you to do. And we should all be prepare our homes, prepare ourselves, prepare our homes in case, just in case we are needed and we are useful for something that God wants us to do. Maybe He will find us worthy enough to do something for Him that's very needed in the home. Perhaps we'll be taking care of people. Perhaps we will be just talking to people, or comforting people, or teaching people, or maybe we will be showing people something, demonstrating something. Who knows what it will be, but it's best to be prepared. And that's why home making is so important, and get yourself dressed up for it as though you were going somewhere, as though you were going to do something important. And also I wanted to mention something that I thought of yesterday. Sorry about the lighting here, but you should be working and not watching me too much. And that is that when you are homemaking, you need to vary your sitting and your standing. The reason being, if you have written on your list, I must write a letter, and then I have to finish some of my sewing, and then I have to put together a such and such, a repair something, and it's all sitting, you might find yourself sitting there 3 hours, and the more you sit, the more likely your mood is to be lowered. So vary your sitting and your standing. On the other hand, you get started with something in the kitchen, time can go by and you don't notice you've been standing for 4 or 5 hours. That's also not good for you. So you need to consciously vary your sitting and your standing. If you have young people in the home and they're excited about things they're doing in the home projects, you need to watch that they don't stand on their feet too much or that they don't sit down too much. This is so important because it really elevates your mood if you are not in one position all the time. For those of you who sometimes become uncomfortable, or I don't want to use the word anxiety because I don't really think it's anxiety, but it is an uneasiness. You start feeling uneasy throughout the day. Maybe you're living alone. Vary your sitting and your standing. Now, I have done a few exercises, and I particularly like the stretch ones where you're sitting in a chair and you don't have to worry about falling. But I have noticed I've been around the web to look for different kinds of exercises and ladies who show how to do them. And of course, invariably, they're going to have things on their channel that I don't like. And for instance, the music, and they always have to. Why can't exercise just be exercise? And why can't art just be art? But when you get a teacher and you get a group, maybe even in a Zoom class or something, people are going to talk about stuff that you're not interested in, and it could be quite unsavory sometimes too. And it's the same with some of these channels that I look at and try to use exercise. There's several that I like that are exercise, and I'll get a good one going, and then I'll start looking at her channel and discover some of the weird things she does or believes in, and think, well, should I keep up with these exercises, or should I abandon following her new exercises because she believes something that just doesn't go with the way I live or what I believe. So I decided just to keep exercise and not pay attention to some of the other things they do. It's pretty hard to find somebody who's not going to try to impose their philosophy on their video that they do. It's pretty hard. So if you are getting exercises from maybe a channel on the web and you're happy with it and it's improving you and you feel good, you're going to run across some of the things these people post that aren't too great. And I suppose it would be hard. In the olden days, they used to have Christian women who had videos, those big ones, those big reel-to-reel videos that were exercises, and then all they would do would be maybe quote a scripture now and then. But it's hard to find someone who believes the way you do and will lead you in an exercise. But in one of my ladies' Bible class, I did start out the class showing them how to stretch a little bit and how to, move their neck and get comfortable and relaxed. And but you have to be really careful if you are teaching exercise, because you have to be qualified, and there's kind of a problem there. If someone gets hurt by following your exercises, you could be in trouble. So that's why I don't become an exercise instructor. And so I just wanted to let you know that, of course, you're going to find things on anything that you look for to do exercises online. You're going to find things in what they teach that you don't like. I wish they'd just keep exercise as exercise and art as art. I do follow some art classes on YouTube, and I'll get to going on one and thinking, this is a wonderful, I want to do this. This is a wonderful whatever I'm going to draw or paint. And then the instructor will say something that just ruins it all. And this happened, before the internet. We had classes we went to, maybe a craft class or a quilting class, and I just want to know how to do, or a sewing class, and I get in the sewing class, and you get a bunch of people around, and they start this idle talk that's so unsavory, and you really just don't want to sit there and do it. So as best you can, try to be a do-it-yourselfer, because one of the advantages to learning to exercise is I've memorized enough now that if my computer goes out, or I just decide to quit following an instructor. I have enough of them memorized now that I could probably go for quite a while with a variety of exercises from what I've remembered in my brain. So try to remember as many things as you can and learn to do things without the computer, because what if suddenly these narcissist owners decide that they are going to take something away from us that we enjoy, because that's what a narcissist does. They live to disappoint people and take things away when they find out someone's enjoying it. So you never know when you're going to lose your internet. So those of you who would like to are free to put my videos on disk or download them to some program if you want to, so you won't be dependent on the internet, and you're welcome to do that. If you know how. I don't know how to do it yet, but now I wanted to remind you to ask God to help you. If you are lacking in motivation and you're facing a house that you're already bored with and you've been there a while and it's getting really tedious and you can't go out for stimulation or you don't want to, like me, you've got to ask God to help you focus on what's right. And you can make that place, that home that you're in, the most desirable place in the world, so that after a while you don't want to go anywhere. And so be a good steward. And you know, the Bible says he who is faithful in little will be faithful in much. Being a good steward means to care for things. It actually means to care for the things that belong to you or belong to someone else. And being a good steward would mean even the smallest detail you would care about. Maybe there's not very much you know how to do. Maybe you can start with something you do know how to do and do some small thing to improve your home. And get started after you've got dressed. Get started. Go check all the places that need to be the most sanitary. Go check your bathroom, check your kitchen, and check your laundry room. Check those things and make them as neat and tidy as you can. Once you get something like that finished, it's the other things seem a lot more simple. It seems a lot more simple to pick up the clutter, to shine a window, to clean the mirrors, when you have gotten some of these major things cleaned up. So be a good steward and faithful in little things. So God has given us this valuable time to draw closer to Him and to get some things done that we probably wouldn't have done if we had been still out more and being not so homebound. And I remember when I first became a homemaker and a homeschooler, people were telling me I'd be homebound, and that homebound learning didn't work, and homebound this didn't work. And now, what are they doing? All these people that said that to me are homebound. And so I just look at it like this. God's given us this valuable time for us to learn and develop and draw closer to Him and tap into learn what our talents are, maybe discover things that we can do. Now I wanted to show you something that came in the mail, and it was from a friend, and it's called the mini catalog of Stampin' Up. My daughter and my children liked rubber stamps, and I didn't do very much of it, but this catalog was real interesting because it came to a birthday. I guess they're stamps, or they're for the cutters, you know. And it says, it has a cake and it has a gift, and it says, I could celebrate you every day. I really like that. I really like that saying, because I think it's really hard on people to have to wait for their birthday to feel that they are anything of value, that they are worth anything. And I think every day should be a celebration. And some of you probably have children that feel that way, that every day they're excited and it's a celebration. But I think every day there should be a way to celebrate others and yourself too, that every day should be a celebration. Every day should be like a favorite a favorite holiday. And not, you don't have to go through too much trouble to do that, you know. Sometimes all you need is a cup of tea and some little treat, and to get dressed like every day is a special celebration. And when my children were growing up, they were allowed to get in their closet and pick out their best clothes and wear those every day. And not just their Sunday best saved for Sunday. They could, because basically they were going to outgrow them anyway. So if they wanted to wear a fancier outfit, I just went ahead and let them, because you know, in a few months you'd have to get a different size anyway. So our children were allowed to go and pick out what they wanted and wear it because it was pretty, or that felt nice, or it just was, made them feel put together. And so I love that saying, I could celebrate you every day. And I do believe that God gives us as a gift a day, and it is a great reason to celebrate, and celebrate by giving your house a makeover, giving your house a lift. And you don't have to do much to give your house a makeover. All you have to do is clean it, maybe rearrange it, maybe put some different cushions out on the settee, maybe do now this bed behind me, this is my guest room bed, and in the winter I get a little break every now and then where there's not people in it, and I'll change it out as though it had a wardrobe, and I will change the colors and the bedspread. And for example, I might take that bedspread off, put a green one on, and then fold that white one down at the end. And I will change the cushions around, and I have those. I've had those cushions for a long, long time, but I have them in another color too, and I might change that around. And so this is the way you would do the rest of your house too. And so every day is a gift, and it's a celebration. And if you can look at it that way, you won't ever be unmotivated. Now, I have a scripture I want to read to you today, and it is. Now, everybody's familiar with the book of Titus, because, of course, they're going to be thinking of the Titus 2 address to women to guard their homes and guide their homes and love their children and love their husband. But there is another thing here. I wonder why they don't read the rest of it or all of it, because it's so beautiful. And it says here, be ready for every good work. Be ready for every good work, to speak evil of no one, to avoid quarreling, to be gentle, and to show perfect courtesy toward all people. You know, I'm just going to get to the people part right now, because this is going to be a very short video. But you know how it is. Someone will say something or do something, and you'll be so shocked and unprepared you don't know how to answer. But if you'll memorize this, and I'll write it out for you. Be ready for every good work, to speak evil of no one, to avoid quarreling, to be gentle, and to show perfect courtesy towards all people. There are some people that want to get you in a quarrel and then accuse you of quarreling, and say, you know, one of the things they do is they'll say something to get you to answer, and when you answer, they'll answer back the opposite, so that they'll contradict, so that they make sure there's some semblance of a quarrel going on, even if you are friendly and you didn't intend to quarrel. And then they will accuse you of quarreling. And that's how some people operate, because that's how they like to stir things up. That's how they like to constantly, or they'll make some casual remark, and you think they're just making some friendly remark or conversation, and you'll answer back. And then they will start contradicting you. That is very rude, and is not courteous at all. But if you will memorize this, be ready for every good work, to speak evil of no one, to avoid quarreling, to be gentle, and to show perfect courtesy towards all people. If you'll memorize that, then this won't catch you off guard so badly. And it says, be ready for every good work. Well, just keep working. Just keep, you know, moving around in the house, putting things away, washing things, cleaning things. Find something to do. I knew a woman she was in a family where they had a real cranky uncle that would come over once in a while. And he'd start this, you know, having to argue, being snide, everything anyone said. So she would just get up, and she would go to the laundry room. And she'd start a load of laundry, and then she'd start folding, and then she'd get the ironing board out and start pressing all of the clothes. And that way she was busy. So she was ready for every good work. And then she would do like Fanny did in Sense and Sensibility. When she sensed a quarrel coming on, she would say, tea. And so, be ready for every good work, to speak evil of no one, to avoid quarreling. You know, I've just found that the best way to avoid quarreling is to say, or to just not answer, or to just, you know, nod and nod as though you've heard them, and to show perfect courtesy to all people. What would be the most courteous, polite, nicest thing to do? And the people that are disgruntled, that constantly want some kind of stirring up, think that they're doing something intellectual. This was called, what was it called? It was some kind of arguing. I'm trying to think of what it was. It was higher criticism, or some kind of intellectual thing, that if you could get someone to quarrel, then they thought that they were sifting through ideas and understanding them more completely, but all they were doing was just being rude and argumentative. And if you're raising children, you need to understand that sometimes they do need to say something that's to keep other people from thinking the wrong thing, to defend themselves a little bit. But defending yourself is not the same as just arguing for the sake of arguing. Arguing is when you've said something that has no harm in it at all, and someone else says the opposite on purpose, just to be that way, just to be aggravating. And so if you'll memorize this scripture, and it comes from Titus chapter 3, verse 1 and 2. Be ready for every good work, to speak evil of no one, to avoid quarreling, and to be gentle, and to show perfect courtesy toward all people. Now, I mentioned when I first came on here today, to ask God to have to prepare you for something, so that you might be of service in some way. And especially if you're living alone, you know, that can get kind of tedious if you're just serving yourself all the time, and you might want to serve in some other way. Maybe God would want you to do something, so be prepared, and be prepared for every good work. Now, I find the best way to be prepared is to get the house in some kind of order, so that I'm not caught off guard if I'm needed. If I'm needed to do something in the house for someone, or if I'm needed to drop everything and sit down and write a letter, or write one of those commonplace newsletters that I talk about sometimes, that I don't have a pile of stuff around me, so that I can concentrate, that I don't have a disheveled mess around me, so I can concentrate on what I'm doing. So be ready for every good work. That means you're going to have to be dressed, you're going to have to be prepared, and probably, if you possibly can, go to bed with your house in order. I am just now learning the habit of keeping the dishwasher loaded and unloaded, because I didn't grow up with a dishwasher, and we used to just save all the dishes in the olden days. We'd rinse them and stack them on the side of the sink, but we waited till we had enough, and then we would heat water, and we would, I grew up on a homestead in Alaska. We'd heat the water, and we'd make the rinse water, and you wouldn't just do little piles here and there. You would wait and do them all at once. And so that's a hard habit to get out of when you've got a dishwasher. And I'm just now learning that, but it's so handy, because then you're ready. Your kitchen is not all cluttered, and if you are called on to talk to someone, or to write to someone, or to present some help to someone, or some encouragement to someone, you're ready. Or if you just need to have peace in your home, that settles your mind a lot too. So let me see if there's anything else that I need to talk to you about, and then we'll let you get on with your day today. Oh yes, here's something. Let's go on to get away from the housekeeping area. We talked about getting your appearance ready, getting the house reasonably set up so that you can be ready for anything. And so here's something that I noticed that's gone on for a long, long time. And of course, being a woman and a homemaker and a preacher's wife, there were times when I knew that I was going to be in a very uncomfortable social situation because there were maybe people who were going to impose their opinion on me, or they were going to lecture me about something, or they were just not approval, just not going to be too friendly. And there'd be some kind of event or social thing that we were all invited to, and I would say, I think I'll just sit this one out. I needed to be home, and I needed to keep my children away from the tension maybe that would have presented itself in this situation. And one of the things I got back from doing that, and by the way, I do believe that we shouldn't be using up our adrenaline on going to places and involving ourselves in things, or even social things, or socializing with people, even, I believe, even on text or anything else that makes us upset. And I think mothers especially need to be careful not to be upset. The children will know, and they will suffer from it. They'll say, if you don't show up to this, it's an admission of the things they are saying about you. It's an admission of guilt. Now that was thrown at me way long, 50 years ago, when I didn't want to go to some, I forget what it was, but I knew that they were going to make me very uncomfortable. I was going to feel very uncomfortable for some reason. And I said, you know, that those people are always talking about me, and they say that I'm this way and I'm that way, and they don't like the way I dress, and they don't. And I said, I just like to, you know, free myself of that. I want to stay home this time. And somebody said to me, well, if you don't show up, it's an admission that what they're saying about you is true. Now, I don't think that's true, and I don't find anywhere in the Bible that advises that. I don't say that's true, but let me know if you've heard that before. That's part of that human psychology. You know, the Bible is spiritual psychology, and it comes from God, and psychology is just the study of human behavior. That's all it is. There's nothing wrong with the word. But when we look at the book of Proverbs, well, I could spend 4 years in a university teaching you Proverbs as human behavior, and because it just gives the consequences of good and bad behavior, and wise and unwise behavior. But this human psychology that had been going around way back in the olden days would say, if you don't go or you don't participate, it will just be an admission of some kind of guilt, or be an admission that the gossip that's going around about you is probably true. And I just did not want to, you know, I wanted to do this. I just read it to you a minute ago. Avoid quarreling, to be gentle, to show perfect courtesy to all people. And I knew that if I got myself in too many social situations where my children were with me, and we were enduring any kind of rejection or social pressure, that it wouldn't be good for me, and I couldn't function the rest of the day after I got home. It would make my children cranky. It's not an admission of anything. It's just an admission that I would like to spare myself some of the stress that the world wants to put on me. Now, I used to know people who wouldn't go out. They just didn't enjoy going out. They didn't go to anything commercial. They'd go to church, and they liked to be at home, and they were on their farms, and they were happy. But when I was younger, like a teenager, I thought, oh my goodness, these people there must be something wrong with them, because when you're young, you want to go. You know, you're more social. And but that's very wrong thinking, because the Bible doesn't say that you have to do that. It doesn't say you have to go and go somewhere where you will be run down, worn out, or demoralized, or diminished in any way. And so one thing that I have learned since I've been a captive is that you don't have to worry about that quite so much. And it also gives you a chance, when you get away from too much social, which can be very addictive. Socializing can be quite addictive. When you have had a social life like I have as a preacher's wife, and then you withdraw from a lot of the commercial type of social life, you can have some twinge of regret or misgivings about it because you're so used to it, and you've got to have something to replace it. So in my case, my home and my people replaced it because I began to concentrate more on that. And I think that if the less commercial activity you do, probably the less stress you will have, and especially during these times. Now, one of the things that I noticed with some of the company that I've been having is they can go for an hour, I noticed lately, without discussing any of the current political situation, any of the current health situation, any of the current financial situation, nothing. And they talk about all kinds of things. And it reminds me of that movie, The Magic of Ordinary Days, when Livy, who had come out of a university and she had studied archaeology, and she asked the people that when she went to live on the farm with her new husband, she asked his family, well, isn't there anything else to talk about besides the land and grain and what the corn tastes like? Well, towards the end, she was thinking that was probably the best conversation in the world. She went from thinking that they probably didn't know very much, and she had been talking about this lost city called Troy, and one of the farmers said, how could you lose a city? And so I was watching that movie again the other day and thinking how she had gone, like many of us, how when you're really young, you really think you're smart, and you think people just want to sit around the table and talk about how much better the potatoes are this year than they were last year, that they must be really dumb. But towards the end of this movie, she began to realize how much more important that was to the family, and she began to ask them the same questions that they were asking each other about the farm and about the land and about the food, which I thought was quite amusing. If you've never seen that movie, it's on YouTube now, I've noticed, and it's free to watch. There's also the making of The Magic of Ordinary Days. If you watch that first, then it describes what the characters are like and what the story was supposed to be about, and I think you'll really enjoy that. I don't have to watch it anymore, but I do like all the trucks in it, and I like the house. So that's a way of getting out of the house when you don't go anywhere. So I'd like to see exercise classes that don't have anybody's philosophy connected to it, and all their beliefs and all their strange interviews with people. And I'd like to see art classes online that don't have people talking about other things. And I know it's nice, to be pleasant and everything, but one day there will be someone who will realize that and will just do plain stuff and make it more palatable for people like me. And so I'm just going around finding different things that I might like, and I don't try to stick to one particular exercise person because of that. And also, I think that you can have a beautiful day today. I'm sorry I have not spoken as long as I had intended, but I haven't gotten any mail, and I haven't, there hasn't been any trauma or drama around here for me to share with you, or anything rather amusing. I did have a Zoom class with some of my grandchildren, and I have a granddaughter that likes to teach me something every month, and she taught me how to make a card, and she's got one of those cutters and some of the gadgets and things from that catalog. And so the two younger brothers came, and they wanted to participate, so I showed them how to cut out a crown out of a piece of construction paper, and it was a green crown. I showed her how to fold it and then cut it so that it would have points on it, and then how to tape it in the back so that it sat down over their ears, all around their head. And those boys were so thrilled with that crown, and she had glued on some stickers that were shiny on them. I'm trying to think what they were, star stickers, and they were so happy with those crowns, and they were going around. I was thinking they looked like the little men of Sherwood Forest. But then I heard them, and then she, with the leftover green paper, she made them some fake dollar bills so they could have money. And and I thought they were going to go and protect the forest, you know, and but they were so happy with this money and with those crowns, and the only thing I had to worry about is that they were thinking they were going to go collect taxes from someone. So ladies, I hope you have a lovely day, and I hope that you get a lot done today. I don't always ask people to leave comments because I realize that's just going to take more time out of your life. And this was designed, Homemaker's Radio was designed so that you'd have something to listen to as you go, and you don't have to watch something. And you could probably get maybe one room cleaned up and a little bit of laundry done. But if you do have time, leave me a comment so I know what you're doing. I love your comments, and I do read them, and I appreciate it so much if you do take the time to do that. So get yourself fixed up and take care of yourself, and doll yourself up if you want, and especially if you live alone and no one's going to approve or disapprove of what you do. You just go ahead and, you know, if you want to wear your tiara, go ahead and do that. And so I'll give you a picture of what I'm wearing and the apron, and I will wish you a wonderful day, and God bless you. Goodbye.